The massive Imperial ship hung in Earth's orbit like a dark cloud blocking out the stars. Its size made aircraft carriers look like toys, and its metal skin gleamed with a purple-black shine that no human metal could match. Inside the United Earth Defense Force headquarters, Admiral James Stone watched the main screen with steady eyes, while others around him whispered in fear. "They're hailing us again," said Tom, the communications officer. His hand shook slightly as they moved across the control panel. "Fourth time in the last hour." Stone nodded slowly. "Put them through. Let's hear what the mighty Empire has to say this time." The screen flickered, showing the face of Imperial Ambassador Rex. His gray skin and sharp features made him look like he was carved from stone. "Admiral Stone, your stubbornness grows tiresome. Emperor Marcus's patience runs thin. And as I'd said 3 times already," Stone replied calmly, "Earth will not surrender its independence. We're happy to discuss trade, cultural exchange, even military alliance. But we won't be slaves." Rex's face twisted in disgust. "Slaves? You misunderstand, primitive one. The Empire brings order, peace, and advancement. 300 species have joined us willingly, seeing the wisdom in submission. Your resistance is unusual." Stone leaned forward in his chair. "Ambassador, let me be clear. Humanity has spent its entire history fighting. We've fought each other. We've fought nature. We fought for survival every step of the way. Right now, we're fighting our own worst instincts to not blast your ship out of our orbit." The ambassador laughed, the sound like metal scraping on metal. "You think your primitive weapons could harm an Imperial vessel? Our shields have never been breached. Our hulls are made of materials your scientists couldn't even understand." "That's what the British thought about their ships when they faced wooden canoes," Stone muttered, then spoke up. "Ambassador, I'm trying to prevent a war. You've never faced humans in combat. You don't know what we're capable of. We've studied your broadcasts, your internet, your military capabilities," Rex said with a wave of his hand. "Projectile weapons, crude nuclear devices, primitive space vessels. Nothing that concerns us." Stone pressed a button on his chair, bringing up an image on the screen. It showed Earth's history of warfare, from ancient battles to modern conflicts. "See this. Every red dot is a major war in our history. Every yellow dot is a genocide. Every blue dot represents a weapons advancement that changed the face of warfare forever. This is who we are, Ambassador. We've spent thousands of years perfecting the art of war against ourselves. Imagine what we'll do to an outside threat." The ambassador's expression didn't change, but his eyes narrowed slightly. "Are you threatening the Galactic Empire, Admiral?" "No, Ambassador. I'm warning you. There are 2 paths forward: peaceful cooperation or conflict. If you choose conflict..." Stone paused, letting his words hang in the air. "Well, we've been preparing for alien threats since we first looked up at the stars. Don't make us show you what those preparations look like." "You have 24 hours to reconsider your position," Rex said coldly. "The Empire's mercy has limits." The screen went dark. Stone turned to his staff, their faces pale in the dim light of the command center. "Send the signal. All bases go to Level 1 alert. Wake up the Deep Space Defense Grid. And get me the Security Council." "Sir," Tom said quietly, "do you think they'll really attack? They seem so advanced." Stone stood up, walking to the window that overlooked the sprawling military complex below. In the distance, he could see civilian cars rushing on the highways, people probably fleeing the cities after seeing the alien ship in the sky. "They're advanced, all right," he said, "but they're arrogant. They've never faced an enemy that fought back. They've never had to adapt, to innovate in the heat of battle." He turned back to his staff. "We warned them. Whatever happens next is their choice." As if in response to his words, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Tom's console lit up with urgent messages. "Sir, multiple Imperial ships just jumped in behind the moon. They're launching fighters." Stone's face hardened. "So they chose war." He pressed the general alarm, and his voice echoed throughout the base. All personnel to battle stations. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. The Empire was about to learn why humans had warned them to run. Imperial Grand Commander Dax stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the holographic display of Mars with a bored expression. The red planet, with its scattered human colonies, looked pathetically vulnerable. This would be the easiest conquest of his career. Launch the first wave, he ordered, barely stifling a yawn. Let's show these primitives how pointless their resistance is. 500 Imperial fighters streaked toward Mars, their purple black hulls reflecting the distant sunlight. Behind them, 30 destroyer-class ships moved into position. By Imperial standards, this was barely a scouting force, perfect for disciplining an upstart species. In her underground command center on Mars, Commander Anna West watched the enemy approach. Her face showed no fear, only fierce concentration. The Empire had fallen for their trap, just as planned. All stations report ready, said her second-in-command, Bill. They have no idea what's waiting for them. Humanity's been preparing for this day for 100 years, Anna said quietly. Let them get closer. She pressed a button on her command chair. All personnel, remember your training. Today, we show the galaxy why they should have listened to our warnings. The Imperial fighters entered Mars orbit, their sensors detecting only weak energy signatures from the human colonies. Grand Commander Dax smiled as the first wave descended toward the largest settlement. See, he said to his bridge crew, their defenses are primitive. They don't even have proper shield technology. This will be. His words cut off as the surface of Mars seemed to come alive. Hidden doors in the red soil slid open, revealing hundreds of missile silos. But these weren't the simple rockets the Empire had detected in their scans. These were humanity's secret weapons, developed after decades of reverse engineering alien technology from crashed ships. Launch everything, Anna ordered. Pattern Delta. Quantum-tipped missiles burst from the Martian surface, their paths seemingly random. The Imperial fighters, expecting simple projectiles, tried to dodge or shoot them down. But these missiles didn't fly straight. They blinked in and out of existence, reappearing in impossible positions. What sorcery is this? Dax shouted as the first wave of his fighters began exploding. Their technology shouldn't be capable of. Sir, his sensor officer interrupted. New contacts. Hundreds of them, launching from Mars moons. The tiny Martian moons, Phobos and Deimos, had been hollowed out decades ago and turned into massive space stations. Now they revealed their true purpose as swarms of human fighters emerged from hidden maze. Anna's voice echoed across all frequencies, deliberately broadcasting in the clear. You thought we were primitive. You thought we were easy prey. You should have studied our history better. Humans don't build obvious defenses. We hide them. We don't fight fair. We fight to win. The human fighters were smaller than their Imperial counterparts, but infinitely more maneuverable. They darted between the larger enemy ships, their weapons cutting through shields calibrated to stop energy weapons, but useless against humanity's hybrid technology. Impossible. Dax raged as his fleet began taking serious losses. Their weapons, their tactics, this isn't in any of our data. Of course it isn't. Anna's voice came again. We've been feeding your spies false information for years. Everything you think you know about Earth's military capability is wrong. In the chaos of battle, Bill looked at his commander with pride. They really thought we'd leave Mars defenseless. That we'd only protect Earth. The empires ruled too long without real opposition, Anna replied, watching as another Imperial destroyer exploded. They forgot the most important rule of warfare. Never underestimate your enemy. On his flagship, Dax finally realized the magnitude of his mistake. All ships, retreat, full withdrawal. We must warn thee. A quantum missile phased through his ship's hull, detonating inside the bridge. The flagship split in two, secondary explosions racing along its length. As the surviving Imperial ships fled in disorder, Anna sent one final message. Run back to your Emperor. Tell him what happened here. And remind him, we warned you. This was just our first line of defense. Imagine what waits for you at Earth. In the following hours, news of the Empire's defeat spread across their territory. For the first time in their history, an Imperial fleet had not just been defeated, it had been humiliated. And this was only the beginning of humanity's response to their aggression. The United Earth Defense Council chamber was packed with military leaders from every nation. The massive screens on the wall showed the aftermath of the Battle of Mars. Destroyed Imperial ships floating in space, their purple-black hulls torn apart by weapons they never saw coming. Admiral Stone stood at the podium, his voice firm. The Empire has seen our first card. Now it's time to show them the rest of our hand. He nodded to Captain Robert Drake, who stepped forward. During the diplomatic meetings, Drake said, while the Empire thought we were just primitive humans stumbling through space, we were studying their every move. Their ships, their weapons, their tactics. He pressed a button, bringing up detailed scans of Imperial technology. And most importantly, their weaknesses. The room filled with murmurs as the images showed Imperial shield frequencies, weapon systems, and engine designs. Everything the Empire thought was secret had been analyzed by Earth's best minds. For 50 years, Drake continued, we've been preparing for this moment. While they watched our old satellites and missile tests, our real technology stayed hidden underground, underwater, and in secret bases across the solar system. The next images made even veteran generals gasp. Hidden facilities in the Amazon rainforest, beneath the Pacific Ocean, and inside the Antarctic ice sheets appeared on screen. Each one held advanced weapons and ships that humanity had kept secret from the Empire's watching eyes. The Empire thinks they know war, Stone said, taking over. They've conquered species that gave up without a fight, species that had never known conflict. But we? He paused, looking around the room. We were born in war, shaped by it, and we've turned it into an art form. In orbit above Earth, the first wave of humanity's true fleet emerged from hiding. Ships rose from the ocean depths, their hulls made of materials that Imperial scanners couldn't detect. Others appeared from behind holographic shields in mountain ranges. Each one carried weapons that combined Earth's best technology with reverse-engineered alien systems. Captain Drake led his Special Forces team toward their first target, an Imperial command ship that had survived the Mars battle. Their ship, the Shadow Strike, looked nothing like the crude rockets the Empire had seen before. It was sleek, black, and completely invisible to Imperial sensors. Remember, Drake told his team, we've trained for this for years. We know their ships better than they do. Hit fast, hit hard, and don't let them raise the alarm. The Shadow Strike slipped through the Imperial ship shields as if they weren't there. The Empire's mighty defenses, calibrated to stop energy weapons and conventional attacks, were useless against Earth's hybrid technology. Drake's team moved through the Imperial ship like ghosts. Their armor, powered by AI systems that predicted enemy movements, made them nearly invisible. When Imperial troops did spot them, their weapons proved useless against the adaptive shields humanity had developed. Bridge secured, Drake reported as his team took control, beginning data extraction. Back on Earth, Admiral Stone watched as information flooded in from the captured ship. The Empire's entire military network, their deployment plans, their command structure, everything was now in human hands. Send word to all our forces, Stone ordered. Operation Revelation begins now. Show the Empire what humanity can really do. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden fleets sprang into action. Stealth ships appeared near every Imperial outpost. Weapon platforms that had been disguised as asteroids revealed themselves. The massive rail gun hidden inside Mercury's crater began charging, ready to launch special projectiles at near-light speed. The Empire had thought Earth was alone and primitive. Now they would learn that humans had spread their influence far beyond their home world, preparing for this day. In his command center, an Imperial officer watched in horror as human ships seemed to appear from nowhere, using technologies that should have been impossible for such a primitive species. "Send word to the Emperor," he said, his voice shaking. The humans, they weren't preparing for first contact. They were preparing for war, and we just started one with the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The war that would reshape the galaxy had truly begun, and humanity was done holding back. Major Lisa Thompson crouched in the shadows of an Imperial space station, her team hidden behind her. The massive station floated above one of the Empire's core worlds, its crew completely unaware of the humans in their midst. Their stealth suits, designed to bend light and mask heat signatures, made them invisible to Imperial sensors. "Remember," she whispered through the tactical network, "we're not here for a straight fight. Hit and run, just like we trained." The Empire still hadn't learned. They kept expecting humans to fight like their other enemies, with big fleets, head-on battles, and predictable tactics. They were about to get another lesson in how humans really fought wars. "Charges set," reported Jack, her demolitions expert. "Their main reactor won't know what hit it." Lisa checked her tactical display. 10 other human teams were scattered across Imperial space, all striking different targets at the exact same time. The Empire's mighty fleet was about to learn that nowhere was truly safe from human attack. 3 minutes to detonation," Jack said. "We should." Footsteps echoed down the corridor. A patrol of Imperial guards marched past, their weapons ready but their eyes unseeing. Lisa's team remained perfectly still, their advanced suits making them practically invisible. One guard stopped, looking around. "Did you hear something?" Before he could react, Lisa's team was moving. Silent weapons took down the patrol before they could raise an alarm. No energy weapons, no loud gunfire, just quick, efficient takedowns like their ancestors had done in Earth's jungles centuries ago. 60 seconds, Jack warned. Lisa led her team toward their escape route. Behind them, hidden charges waited to tear the station apart from the inside. The Empire would find only empty corridors and dead guards, with no clue how humans had gotten past their perfect defenses. In another part of Imperial space, a massive supply convoy moved between stars. Their crews were nervous. Human raiders had been hitting Imperial shipping for weeks. But this convoy had heavy escorts, including 3 destroyer-class warships. "No primitive humans will dare attack this fleet," the convoy commander said proudly. He was wrong. From the darkness of space, objects that Imperial sensors registered as simple asteroids suddenly changed course. They were human stealth ships, designed to look like space debris until the moment they struck. The convoy's escort ships exploded as quantum torpedoes phased through their shields. Supply ships found their engines mysteriously failing as human hackers, using data stolen from the Empire's own networks, shut down their systems remotely. Back on the space station, Lisa's team reached their hidden ship just as the first explosion rocked the structure. More detonations followed, each one precisely placed to cause maximum damage with minimum risk to civilian areas. "All teams, report," Lisa called as their ship slipped away from the dying station. One by one, reports came in from across Imperial space. Supply lines cut, communications hubs destroyed, military installations crippled, all without a single major battle. In the Imperial capital, Emperor Marcus raged at his generals. How are they doing this? Where are they hiding?" "My Emperor," one general said nervously, they're not hiding anywhere specific. They're everywhere and nowhere. We catch glimpses of their ships, but they vanish before we can respond. They strike without warning, without pattern. They're using tactics from their own history," another general added, reading from a datapad. "Things called guerrilla warfare and asymmetric combat. They don't try to match our strength. They attack where we're weak, then disappear." On her ship, Lisa reviewed the mission data. Every human strike team had succeeded. The Empire's mighty military machine was being taken apart piece by piece, not by great battles, but by 1,000 small cuts. "Send word to command," she ordered. "Phase 1 complete. Ready to begin Phase 2. As her ship vanished into the darkness of space, Lisa allowed herself a small smile. The Empire had wanted war with humanity. Now they were learning why Earth's history books were filled with stories of mighty empires falling to smaller, smarter enemies who refused to fight by the expected rules. The guerrilla war was working. Now it was time to turn up the pressure. Grand Admiral Victor stood before the largest fleet the Empire had ever assembled. 10,000 ships filled the space around his command vessel, their purple-black hulls blocking out the stars. After months of humiliating defeats and guerrilla attacks, the Empire would finally crush Earth with overwhelming force. "No more games," Victor announced to his fleet commanders. "No more clever tactics or hiding. We will strike Earth directly and end this war." On Earth, Admiral Stone watched the massive fleet approaching through long-range sensors. Unlike many others in the command center, he was smiling. "They've finally done it," he said. "They've committed their main fleet exactly where we wanted them." The room's main screen showed Project Prometheus coming online. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, massive machines hummed to life. In orbit, hidden satellites activated one by one. Earth's ultimate defense system, the one they'd kept secret even while revealing other advanced weapons, was ready. "Sir," a young officer said nervously, "even with Prometheus, their fleet is enormous." Stone nodded. "Size isn't everything in war. The dinosaurs were bigger than mammals too. Ask them how that worked out." The Imperial fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Mars orbit. Grand Admiral Victor expected resistance like before, but the red planet was quiet. No hidden missiles launched. No fighters appeared from its moons. "You see," Victor said to his bridge crew, "they've used up their tricks. Now they face real Imperial might." The fleet moved forward, spreading out to surround Earth in a massive sphere of ships. Victor's plan was simple: overwhelm any defenses with sheer numbers. No clever strategy, just brute force. "All ships, prepare tow." Victor's orders were cut short as space itself seemed to twist around his fleet. Stone's voice broadcasted across all frequencies. "Welcome to Earth, Admiral. Let us show you Project Prometheus." Hundreds of hidden gravity generators activated around Earth's orbit. The carefully positioned devices created a web of artificial gravity wells, turning space itself into a weapon. Imperial ships found themselves pulled in multiple directions at once. "What's happening?" Victor demanded as his fleet formation broke apart. "Gravity is one of the fundamental forces of the universe," Stone's voice explained calmly. "We learned to control it years ago. Want to see what else we can do with it?" The moon, Earth's faithful satellite, suddenly revealed its secret. Hidden engines, built inside the moon's craters and caverns over decades, fired up. The entire moon began to move, its gravity affecting the Imperial fleet. Impossible. Victor watched in horror as the moon's gravitational pull tore through his carefully planned formation. Ships collided with each other, their own mass turned against them. But Earth wasn't finished. As the Imperial fleet struggled against the gravity traps, the planet's atmosphere lit up. Massive energy collectors, disguised as regular power stations, channeled the Earth's magnetic field into weapons. "You thought we only had ships and missiles," Stone continued. "You never understood. We turned our entire solar system into a weapon." Lightning-like bolts of energy shot from Earth's poles, guided by the gravity wells to strike Imperial ships with pinpoint accuracy. Each bolt carried the power of 1,000 storms, overwhelming even Imperial shields. Victor watched his mighty fleet falling apart. Ships were being crushed by gravity, torn apart by magnetic forces, or smashed together like toys in a cosmic storm. "Full retreat," he ordered. "Get us out of here." But retreat wasn't easy. The gravity wells trapped many ships, while others found their engines failing as Earth's magnetic pulses shut down their power systems. In Earth's command center, Stone watched the battle with grim satisfaction. "Send in our fleets now. Let's finish this." Human ships, hidden behind the sun, emerged to attack the trapped Imperial vessels. Unlike the Empire's rigid formations, Earth's ships moved through the gravity wells with practiced ease, using them to add power to their weapons. The Battle of Earth became the largest space conflict in Imperial history, and as their mighty fleet fell to pieces, the Empire learned its final lesson about humanity. Sometimes the biggest weapon isn't a gun or a ship, but the clever use of nature itself. News of Earth's victory spread across the Empire like wildfire. On 1,000 worlds, enslaved species watched videos of the mighty Imperial fleet broken by human ingenuity. For the first time in centuries, they saw hope. General Mark Anderson stood on the bridge of his ship, looking at the holographic map showing rebellion outbreaks across Imperial space. Each red dot represented another species rising up against their oppressors. "Sir," his communications officer said, "we're receiving more calls for help. The bird-like people of the avian worlds want our support. The crystal beings of the diamond sector are fighting back too." Anderson nodded. This was exactly what Earth had planned for. Send them what they need. Knowledge, weapons, tactics, everything we promised. While Earth fought the Empire directly, they had also been sending secret messages to all conquered species. They taught them Earth's history of resistance, of overthrowing tyrants, of fighting against overwhelming odds. Now those lessons were bearing fruit. On the Imperial factory world of Nexus, the slave workers suddenly found their restraining collars deactivated by human hackers. In the mines of Drakon, the reptilian slaves discovered weapon caches left by human stealth teams. Everywhere, the Empire's iron grip was slipping. "The Empire calls us primitive," Anderson said to his crew. "But they forgot something important about primitive people. They know how to survive against stronger enemies." His fleet jumped into orbit around a rebellious world where green-skinned aliens were fighting their Imperial overlords. Human ships provided cover fire while special forces landed to train the rebels. "Watch and learn," a human instructor told a group of alien fighters. "This is how Earth's warriors fought against stronger enemies for centuries. Hit and run. Strike weak points. Never fight fair." The Empire's resources stretched thinner with each passing day. They had grown fat and lazy with easy conquests, never building the infrastructure to handle multiple rebellions at once. Now they paid the price. In his command center, Anderson received a transmission from an Imperial border world. The local governor appeared on screen, his gray face worried. "General Anderson," the governor said, "my world wishes to negotiate terms of surrender. We've seen how you treat those who join you willingly." Anderson smiled. "This was the third such surrender today. We'll send representatives immediately. Your people will be free, and your world protected under the new alliance." More and more Imperial worlds began reaching out. Some fought first, others saw the writing on the wall and surrendered. Each one brought new allies, new resources, new technologies to the human-led coalition. On a liberated world, alien children played in streets that once held Imperial patrols. They sang songs about Earth, about freedom, about fighting back. Their parents watched with tears in their eyes, remembering centuries of slavery. "Tell us again," they asked their human advisors, "about Earth's rebellions, about your French Revolution, your American independence, your fights for freedom." Anderson's fleet grew as liberated worlds contributed ships and crews. Humans trained them in their style of warfare, showing them that superior technology meant nothing without the will to use it cleverly. The Empire thought size and strength were everything. Anderson told his mixed crew of humans and aliens. They forgot that history is full of mighty empires falling to smaller, more determined enemies. In Imperial space, more worlds erupted in rebellion each day. The Empire's mighty armies found themselves spread too thin, fighting enemies who had learned humanity's lessons well. A human general spoke to a gathering of alien rebels. For centuries, you feared the Empire's strength. But Earth's history teaches us, the strongest isn't always the one with the biggest guns. It's the one with the strongest will to be free. The revolution spread like an unstoppable wave. Species that had been enemies under imperial rule now fought side by side, inspired by Earth's example. The empire that had stood for 1,000 years was shaking at its foundations. And this was just the beginning. The real change was yet to come. The imperial capital world of Imperius glowed like a purple jewel in space. Its orbital rings, once symbols of the Empire's eternal power, now served as docking points for the combined fleet of humans and liberated species. The final battle for the galaxy's future was about to begin. Admiral Stone stood on his flagship's bridge, looking at the massive fleet around him. Human ships flew alongside vessels crewed by every species the Empire had once enslaved. The sight would have been impossible just months ago. Message from Emperor Marcus, his communications officer announced. He wants to talk. Stone smiled slightly. Just like we planned. Open a channel. The Emperor's face appeared on the main screen. His gray skin looked paler than usual, his eyes tired. Admiral Stone, have you come to destroy our capital? No, Stone replied calmly. We've come to offer you a choice. The same choice you never gave others. In the Imperial Palace, Marcus watched screens showing him the truth he tried to deny. Half his empire had already joined the human-led alliance. A quarter more was in open rebellion. The rest watched and waited. What choice? Marcus asked, trying to keep his imperial dignity. Change or fall, Stone said simply. Earth's history taught us something important. Destroying your enemies completely only leads to more war. Real peace comes from transformation. Stone sent over the human proposal. The Empire would not be destroyed, but transformed into a democratic federation. All species would have equal rights. No more slaves, no more conquests. Impossible, one of Marcus's advisors shouted. The Empire has ruled for 1,000 years. We cannot simply. The Empire is already gone. Stone interrupted. You can help build something better, or you can fall with the old system. We're offering you the chance we wish you'd given us. To join as equals, not slaves. In orbit, ships from a dozen species waited for the Emperor's answer. Some wanted revenge, the complete destruction of their former masters. But humans had convinced them that breaking the cycle of violence was more important than vengeance. Marcus read through the proposal again. And if we refuse? Instead of answering, Stone sent another transmission. It showed Project Prometheus in action, the gravity weapons that had broken the Empire's greatest fleet. Then it showed something new, even more powerful weapons that humans had held in reserve. We didn't show you everything at Earth, Stone said quietly. That was just a taste. Accept our offer, and we all move forward together. Refuse. He let the threat hang in the air. Both of them knew Earth could destroy the capital world if they wanted to. But that wasn't the human way. Not anymore. Marcus looked out his palace window at the city below. He thought of Earth's history, which he'd studied extensively since their first meeting. How many great powers had fallen because they couldn't adapt. How many had survived by changing with the times. You warned us, he said finally, when we first met. You tried to tell us what humans were capable of. Stone nodded. We did. But we also showed you what we're truly best at. Not just fighting wars, but ending them. Building something better from the ashes. The next hours were a blur of activity. The Emperor signed the agreement. Cheers erupted across thousands of worlds as the news spread. The Empire was dead. The Galactic Federation was born. 1 year later, Stone walked through the new Federation Council chamber. Representatives of every species sat together as equals. Former slaves and masters worked side by side. It wasn't perfect. Nothing ever was. But it was better. Was it worth it? Marcus, now just one member of the Federation Council, asked him. All the fighting, just to end up here. Stone watched a group of young aliens, some human, some former imperial, some from liberated worlds, laughing together in the corridor. "This is what Earth fought for," he said. "Not victory, but change. Not conquest, but cooperation. We warned you to run, but what we really wanted was for you to learn." As he looked out at the stars through the chamber's great window, Stone smiled. Humanity had proven itself the most dangerous species in the galaxy, but they had also proven themselves the most capable of turning enemies into friends. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what they had planned all along.